Well, Dan Andrews has been awarded the nation's highest honour, which begs the question, is it June 10th or is it April 1st? The man who spent a decade running Victoria into the ground has received a King's Birthday gong for, and I quote, eminent service to the people and Parliament of Victoria, to public health, to policy and regulatory reform, and can you believe it, to infrastructure development. Now, the people bestowing this year's King's Birthday honours are trolling us for sure. Oh, and by the way, West Australian Pandemic Premier Mark McGowan got an award as well because, well, if you know a good joke, you can't tell it too many times, can you? Now, if there was an award for dressing up ludicrous decisions as health advice, I could understand the decision. Remember when Dan Andrews banned Victorians from playing golf for fear COVID was lurking on the fairways? Or what about when Victorians were forbidden from being out after curfew because COVID was more lethal after dark? If there was an award for blowing the budget, I could understand Dan Andrews being honoured. He'll leave his King's Birthday medal to his grandchildren, along with trillions of dollars in debt. And if there was an award for dodging ethical charges brought against a government, well, he should get 5 medals representing the 5 independent, broad-based anti-corruption commission inquiries launched into his government within a 12-month period. They didn't call him Teflon Dan for nothing. If mediocrity, cost overruns and political unhealthiness were worthy of awards, Dan Andrews should be our most celebrated citizen. But a King's Birthday honour for eminent service? Former Victorian Premier Jeff Kennett is one of, I dare say, millions of Australians astonished at this decision, and he joins me now. Jeff, tell me how you felt when you first heard that Dan Andrews had been given this award.
I didn't believe it. I thought it was a joke. But when I look further into it, I have come to the conclusion that the chairperson of the Council of the Order of Australia, Shelley Rees, and the Governor-General have both failed all Australians by now rewarding failure and giving to an individual who, based on the criteria that was published today, health, infrastructure, has so demonstrably failed. So we are now giving the highest civilian award to an individual who has failed. We are recognising failure, and that is unacceptable.
Well, you mentioned health and infrastructure. I'm trying to think of anything Dan Andrews has done to improve the health of Victorians, or indeed the health system. And as for infrastructure, I mean, it's a bit of a joke there, isn't it?
Well, it's not a joke in the sense that every major piece of infrastructure is running well over time and well over budget, and he has accumulated a debt that future generations of Victorians will be paying for years. And because of the interest on that debt, the fundamental services we expect governments to provide, including health, education, law and order, are all in a parlous state. So I have today written to the Governor-General. There's no point me complaining without doing something about it. And I have asked the Governor-General to rescind this honour. I'd also like to see how this award was given, made and considered. After all, Mr Andrews only retired in September last year. I don't know who promoted his elevation. I would like to know why it took so quickly and whether in fact there has been political interference in him being granted this award. And that wouldn't be surprising because the hallmark of Daniel's premiership was just that, political interference, overburdening the system, the democratic system as we know it. So this is a most unusual award for a character such as Mr Andrews.
When you say political interference, can you be a bit more exact? What exactly are you suggesting?
Well, I can't understand when the fundamental purpose of the orders that go under this particular program are to recognise effort, excellence, etc. And even as their own criteria, as I said to you before, Daniel has failed, dramatically failed. So why has he been given this award? What did Miss Rees, as chairman of the council, and her fellow travellers, where's the Governor-General been for the last 10 years that they haven't seen that this person is an inappropriate person to be receiving the highest award. So I am suspicious that somehow along the line there has been political interference. And I think Miss Reyes and the Governor-General should come out and say publicly how this award was made, on what criteria, because on the published criteria he has failed. And for these Orders of Australia now to have a new criteria, that is, the more you fail, the higher your award. It's just ridiculous.
Do you think that awarding Dan Andrews this honour undermines the honour?
Look, I hope not. I mean, a lot of people have said that to me today, but when you have a list of those who have been granted awards, there are people who have given voluntary services for years. There's people who have gone well beyond their paid employment, and of course Daniel's doing nothing but his paid employment. So other people have done charity work, etc., etc. And I have a criteria when the Secretariat from the Governor-General rings me wanting my opinion on a person whose name is before them. I always tell them, and they understand this, I will not support anyone who is being considered for an award just because of their paid employment. I will if with their paid employment they've been doing other community work as well, because there are tens of thousands of Australians who are delivering meals on wheels, who are visiting people in hospitals, who have been doing it for years. All of those deserve an award and recognition before Mr Andrews.
And just lastly, Jeff, what does this award to Dan Andrews say to Victorians, many of whom suffered badly under his leadership during the pandemic?
Yes, well, you know, 800 Victorians lost their lives because of his administration. We're all going to be suffering this debt for generations to come. Look, I appreciate there will be people on his side of politics who support him being recognised, but they too will pay a price over the next 2 decades, and they will realise just what a waste of space, what a tragic waste of administration this has been. So I hope the Governor-General might do something. I'm not holding my breath. I don't know how the Council for the Order of Australian Awards could have possibly come to this conclusion. My comments today, are not political. They're actually applying common sense to the awards per se. Forget the politics. How can we possibly now have a situation where our highest civilian awards get given to those who have themselves failed either in public administration or in broader fields of occupation?